Ladies and gentlemen, after our first fantastic win in our Champions League debut for this season against PSG away from home, we end up coming up for our next game in just a competitive game. Just as much of an important victory if we can get it. And overall, this is what the Champions League is all about, facing the best oppositions in the hardest times. And Manchester United are going through a course of beautiful, very hard games coming up. And let's see if Manchester United can continue their Champions League form against RB Leipzig. So without further ado, let's get into it. What's up everybody, it's the Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video. Today we have got a Manchester United versus RB Leipzig Champions League match predictions for the game coming up in only a few hours, half a day, or for some people it's tonight. Very, very entertaining game to have on our hands. A very, very good game against PSG, a very lackluster game against Chelsea, but you're facing the tough sides, and the tough sides, you need to bring out the big results. But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn the notifications on and let me know in the comments below, what do you think of RB Leipzig, and do you think Manchester United will be able to win this game? Now, this is a match predictions video, so of course in all match predictions videos that are done by me, I go through my predicted starting 11 for Manchester United versus Leipzig. I'm going to give my score prediction at the very end of the video. But before I get into those two things, I want to talk a little bit about what I think RB Leipzig as a team is. So I've watched a lot of Bundesliga last year, as they were the first league to return when the lockdown period ended and they were able to get back to playing. The Bundesliga was something that I watched because there was no Premier League, there was no real big leagues out there except for the Bundesliga that was continuing their league. And in doing that, you see a lot of German teams, you start to research them, you start to identify who's doing what, how good teams are, and RB Leipzig was definitely one of the better teams in the Bundesliga. I believe they finished third in their Bundesliga ranking, and they got to the semi-final of the Champions League. So this is definitely not an easy game by any stretch of the means for Manchester United, and I do think a lot of people will consider us not the favourites for this game against RB Leipzig. So they're a team, in my opinion, over the course of a few years, no one really knew who they were, but once money was put into their team, they were able to reach the highest of heights for a team that was in Division 2, I believe, of Germany, and managed to bring their way all the way up to the Bundesliga and finishing third and making a semi-final Champions League appearance. Now, I know they're not the most popular team in Germany, but they are a team to be feared and respected by Manchester United, and that's why I think this is going to be a very difficult game and could potentially be a very entertaining game as well, as they are very fast-paced. They do like to press. They are an attacking presence, and I do think they have a defense that Manchester United might find difficult to break down, especially with one of our favorite players that Man United like to talk about, Upamecano, on the team. So it's going to be a big game. Manchester United like these type of games. This is what we want out of our Champions League experience. And the further that we get with this team, with this Champions League group stage, and if we can advance, then the more proud of the team that we're going to be. At the moment, it's just the beginning. The work has not yet begun. We've got a fantastic win against PSG, but the work continues against RB Leipzig. And let's see exactly what we can get out of this result tonight. So let's go into the starting 11 for Manchester United versus RB Leipzig. So in goal, I've gone with David De Gea. Again, fantastic performance. I wouldn't say fantastic performance against Chelsea, but it was a very decent performance. He finally kept a clean sheet in the Premier League, and I do think overall there's not much to say on this situation. It has to be David De Gea. I mean, Dean Henderson hasn't got a run out in ages, and maybe the next Champions League game against the other oppositions that we do have could be a place where he can play, but at the moment it just not seems to be happening for Dean Henderson. So we move on and we keep on going, and we pick the best players that are in form at the moment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer spoke about form being a very key indicator of the matches and the lineups that we pick. So I think David De Gea is the most informed player on the team, to be honest, and that's why I do see him playing in this game. Right back, I've gone with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Again, had a very good performance against Chelsea, had a very good performance against Newcastle, had a very good performance against PSG. He is slowly getting his form back and could be elevating his game in an attacking sense as well. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, in my opinion, is one of the most important players on the team at the moment, because if he plays well, most likely Manchester United are going to play well. The right back position and the left back position have been big question marks attacking wise. We're going to need them in this game to attack, because RB Leipzig is going to press us. So we're going to need as much options available up front to counter attack and also to pass our way through them as possible. So the right backs and left backs in this game are going to be very crucial towards a victory or a loss to RB Leipzig, or even a draw. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is an important player on an important team, and let's see if he can continue his run of form throughout the entirety of the next game, and hopefully more games to come. Centre-back pairing. Now, I wish Axel Tuanzebe would play this game. I wish he would, but after seeing the way that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer basically dropped Axel Tuanzebe after a miraculous performance against PSG, in my opinion, if he's going to drop him even after that performance, then there's just no saving it. There's going to be Victor Lindelof in the right centre-back position, because that just seems to be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's go-to at the moment, with Harry Maguire, of course. These two players. Let's talk about Victor Lindelof first. In my opinion, Victor Lindelof is definitely the right way to go, just because form-wise, he was definitely one of the better players on the team. And I do think you need to play your better players, especially in the Champions League game, especially when the ties are against you and the scheduling is against you. You need to pick the best players and hope they could get a good result. Now, people might say Victor Lindelof is better than Harry Maguire. People might say otherwise. But I think for the most part, they're both going to be playing together. So Victor Lindelof takes my right centre-back position, and the left centre-back position will be Harry Maguire. Now again, Harry Maguire came back from a knock very, very early, but ended up playing against Chelsea. And I thought, besides that ridiculous foul in the box, which was not called, I thought Harry Maguire had an okay game against Chelsea. And we need to hope that he can keep on developing a defensive presence, because mistakes is something that's been Manchester United's downfall for so many games. We've always ended up making a mistake, conceding an unnecessary goal, and some of that, if not most of that, has been down to Harry Maguire. But in the past few games, he has not made that mistake. At least with the penalty, it wasn't called, because he was definitely going to be the one that made that mistake if the penalty was called. So hopefully there's no mistakes left in Harry Maguire for a long time, if any, for the rest of the season, because we need a centre-back presence that is feared upon Europe and upon the Premier League. And we don't have the players to make that happen, but what we can do is put the performances out there to make us believe that we're at least trying in a defensive end. So Harry Maguire needs to have a good game here to make his selection worthwhile, because if he does get selected and he does make a mistake, then we're all going to go and attack the manager, aren't we? We're all going to say that it's the manager's fault, he should have been dropped ages ago, and that's a valid excuse. But he's had good performances, so I understand why people want him to play in this game, but I would have loved to see Tuanzebe play. Maybe I will be proven wrong and Tuanzebe will play in this game. I just don't know, and hopefully I will be wrong. I want to be wrong on this one, to be honest. But Ollie will pick the team, and I will support the team until the result is done. And if it turns out that I was wrong or I was right, then fair enough. You take it on the chin. You're happy if you get the win. You're sad if you get the loss, and you move on to another very important game in the Premier League. Left back, I've gone with Alex Telles. I don't know why he's going to persist to play Luke Shaw. I think it's very, very simple to just say Luke Shaw. It's basic. I think we need to get some of these players that have been coming to Manchester United over the past transfer window. We need to get them adjusted to this team. Adjusting them might mean playing them in the Champions League, where they're more accustomed to the football of the opposition. It's not very similar to the Premier League. The Premier League is one of the most unique leagues in the world in terms of playing style. Not many teams can play the way the Premier League teams can play. Leipzig might be one of those teams that can do it, to be fair, but for the most part, I think Alex Telles needs to adjust to the way that we play and adjust to the way the opposition plays. So eventually we're going to need to keep playing him in the Premier League. But at the moment, I think Ole is set on playing him in the Champions League. If that's the case, I want to see more of Alex Telles. I don't think it should be another Donny van de Beek situation where he just completely does not play at all. The guy is good enough to play. Let him play. Let him go out there and prove himself. He's one of the best European left backs in the world, according to many, many people, and according to his reputation. So allow him to become that player for Manchester United, and we can see great things with our fullbacks. Hopefully, it's all in hope, but you have to be given the chance to prove yourself right or wrong. So hopefully he gets that chance. CDM positions. Now, usually I would have said before this interview with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that Scott McTominay shouldn't play. But Scott McTominay was right there next to him answering questions, and to be fair, there were great answers that he was giving out. So usually from experience, I believe if the person is sitting next to him, they're probably going to be playing in the game. So I think Scott McTominay will play in this game. And I don't agree with that personally. I think Scott McTominay, he hasn't been bad, but I do think we can probably find a better solution in that position than Scott McTominay. But again, this is another situation where Scott McTominay has to prove himself. This is a big game, big opposition. Scott McTominay, he's a fighter, he's a runner, he's an energizer. And if that's what we're going to need to win this game, then play Scott McTominay. But I do think there are better solutions out there. I know he's talked a lot about rotation, keeping players fit, making sure that we pick the right teams at the right time. I think Ole is kind of going back on his word a little bit, because if we're going to play the exact same lineup as we did against Chelsea and similar to the one against PSG, then against Newcastle, there's no rotation. There's no picking the right team at the right time. It's basically going with what you trust instead of what Ole's actually saying. So hopefully we see a different team out here than we saw against Chelsea, because I think that team wasn't good enough to beat Chelsea. That team probably isn't good enough to beat Leipzig. Maybe that team isn't good enough to beat Arsenal. I don't know. But maybe they are. But maybe Chelsea was just a stumbling block. I don't know. I don't have that answer. But I'd like to see a little bit of a different team. I'd like to see a little bit of rotation in the lineup. And hopefully we can get that. So in saying that, I'm going to say Scott McTominay. But I can't go against Fred either. I have to pick Fred. Fred has been an absolute key to the way that this midfield has performed since Newcastle. Fred has been one of our best players again this season. And it just goes to show that people underlook Fred. People undermine Fred. People want Fred to leave. Is Fred the fantastic, ultimately best midfielder in the world? Of course he isn't. But he brings so much to this team that I think off the bench, starting, wherever he does play, he brings us something. He brings us something that this team does not have. So I respect the hell out of Fred for giving us that thing. Maybe Manchester United go into the transfer window to get another midfielder. Or maybe we do sell Fred. But while he's here, I'm going to praise the life out of this guy, because he seriously gives us a different dynamic in the midfield. He is responsible. He's not the perfect player. He has flaws. His first touch is a big flaw. Sometimes his passes don't end up working. But most of the time, he's a very consistent, very efficient and fantastic CDM for Manchester United right now. He might not be able to do it on his own, but if Scott McTominay's playing, I can't see how Fred doesn't play either. They seem to be the duo in that situation at the moment, and we live and die by that, and hopefully we can get a result in this game with Fred and McTominay at the CDM positions, holding the line and protecting our defense. In the cam position, I've gone with Bruno Fernandes. Again, with Bruno Fernandes, it's basically he walks into the team at the moment. There's so many big games, we can't afford to rest him, and I think he needs a rest. I'm not going to lie. In the Chelsea game, he looked exhausted. He looked done. And maybe that's because he didn't get much of the ball. I didn't notice him, but to me, he looked a little bit tired. He does need a rest. But again, Bruno Fernandes is not the type of player that's going to say, I'm going to sit this one out, coach. You play your team, and I'm going to take this rest. He's not that type of player. He's going to play every game because this is his life. He wants Manchester United to do well, and he believes he can make Manchester United do well. Whether it's by hook or by crook, he seems to find a way to make Manchester United win games. This is a game that we're going to need to win. So Bruno Fernandes has to play. It's as simple as that. He's been our best player, and I know people don't like to say it. I know people don't rate Bruno Fernandes, especially across other teams, man. People just say he's a penalty merchant, and those people don't know anything except for stats. That they're only looking at how many penalties that he scored instead of the actual games that he plays. So let those people talk, and let Manchester United focus on ourselves, and let Bruno Fernandes focus on making our team the best team. And let's see how we go in that retrospect against RB Leipzig, and let's see if he can make something happen. The strike force, the attacking three. Alrighty, here we go. You ready for this? Right wing. I've gone with Mason Greenwood. I don't know why Mason Greenwood hasn't played for a long time now, but I think he's healthy, so I think he should play. At the end of the day, I really want to see Donny van de Beek play in this position, just because I don't think the midfield position is available to him at the moment. I want to see him start. I think he can start, and I think he could do well, but ultimately, I think Ole will pick Mason Greenwood in this position because he's fit now. That's the player that he trusted in that position before Juan Mata, and I think in this game, we're probably going to need a little bit of an attacking counter-attack style of play, and Mason Greenwood is probably the best player to have that at your disposal in the right wing position. Left wing, I've gone with Marcus Rashford. Again, Marcus Rashford has had a good run of form. Hit a stumbling block against Chelsea, didn't have his best performance, but ended up being very threatening when he had the ball and had some shots on goal. He was threatening. And Marcus Rashford is always going to be a threat to oppositions. So I think Marcus Rashford should play in this game as well. Again, we're talking about rest. Marcus Rashford is probably one of those players that needs that rest. Came off of an injury late last year, was really struggling towards the end of the season because he had an ankle problem. But he's come back firing this season, and maybe that is the way to go. We keep on playing Marcus Rashford, we keep on winning games. Who really knows? But Marcus Rashford has been pretty good this season, and I think we should allow that to continue. And I don't think Dan James should be playing in that left wing position for quite some time after his last performance. Up front, it's Cavani or Martial, and I'm going with Anthony Martial. I think Cavani will definitely have a say in this game, but off of the bench most likely, because I think Edinson Cavani, if he's fit, will start against Arsenal. So for the Champions League, Martial is still suspended in the Premier League, so it's only fitting that you play Martial, keep him ready, keep him fit, keep him raring and hungry to score a goal by playing him in this game. And I think despite not having Martial in the Premier League, I do think you need to keep your players fit. You need to keep your players ready. Martial's clearly a big player that's on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plans, that is probably going to continue to play, whether it's off the left or up front for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So you must make sure he's able to play, make sure he's ready and he's fit and he's focused to play. And I think it's a big indication of trust with Anthony Martial if you play him in the Champions League, even if Cavani is fit. So that's my team. And I'm feeling optimistic, I'm not going to lie. Our home form has been woeful, so that kind of concerns me, I'm not going to lie. It's not something that I'm looking forward to, but I'm optimistic. I was optimistic against Chelsea, even though I said we were going to draw. I'm optimistic here. I'm going to say we're going to win this game 2-1. I think we can score against Leipzig. I don't think Leipzig's defense is the end-all be-all, but I think Leipzig are definitely dangerous enough to get a goal on us. And it's up to Manchester United to be able to outscore Leipzig, because they're going to press the hell out of us. We could break that press. We could get a long ball. We can get a counter-attack. This is a perfect game, in my opinion, for Paul Pogba. If I was just saying it myself, I think this game would make Paul Pogba thrive. But I just don't see Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doing that at the moment. I see this game being a 2-1 result for Manchester United. We get another 3 points, and we look to be a very, very, very good favourite, as we're most likely, again, we still have a lot of games to go. If we can win this game, we put ourselves in the driver's seats to win. Same with RB Leipzig. If RB Leipzig win this game, they put themselves in the driver's seat to qualify and probably top it. So let's see what we do. Let's see what Manchester United do. Let's see what Leipzig do. Let's see what PSG do. This is the Champions League group stage that we have. It's a big one. It's probably the nightmare one for a lot of people. But let's see if Manchester United can get this done. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I will see you guys in the Manchester United versus Leipzig match reaction right after the game. Don't miss it. It will be here. Have a wonderful and safe day. Take care and peace.